ceremonies, Nathan Cassar.
Welcome back to another exciting episode of the Justice Plan TV and podcast show, where we bring you fresh, innovative ideas to make your wedding day even more unforgettable. I'm your host, as always, Nathan Cassar, and today we have a very special guest, Lissy Hernandez, the creative genius behind Adore by Lissy. Now, Lissy is revolutionizing the world of wedding entertainment with her incredible live illustrations, specializing in creating unique hand-painted watercolor portraits for guests at weddings and luxury events. Lissy has brought a magical twist to keepsakes. With a quick reference photo and her delicate watercolors, Lissy transforms fleeting moments into treasured works of art in real time. From fitness to artistry, Lissy's journey has been nothing short of extraordinary. A former bodybuilder with a deep love of comic book characters like Catwoman and Wonder Woman, Lissy channels that same strength and elegance into her whimsical, stylized artwork that guests simply adore. It's not just about capturing the pose, it's about capturing the feeling, and that's what makes her work so incredibly special. Now today, Lissy will be sharing everything you need to know about live illustration at weddings, from how it works and the inspiration behind it to the reactions couples and guests have when they receive their one-of-a-kind portraits. We'll also explore why it's totally worth the investment, what to look for when choosing a live illustrator, and the unique flair that makes Lissy's artwork stand out in a crowd. So if you're looking for something to add something truly magical to your wedding, stay tuned. Lissy has all the details. Welcome to the show. How are you?
Hi, Nathan. I'm well, thanks. How are you? Thank you so much for such a lovely introduction.
Oh, of course, absolutely. No, I'm doing very well, thank you. It's such a pleasure having you on the show. We actually, I believe you and I first encountered one another at a wedding expo, where you had just sort of begun to get into the industry, and we're looking at ways and how last year at how other vendors were relating to people and how they were presenting their brand and business to the greater world, which is one of the toughest things as vendors, when we're all good at the doing, but the promoting is a whole other kettle of fish, particularly if we're sole traders like yourself and I. And what I was so immediately captured by your particular talent, having worked with only a few live illustrators in my time because it's such a new niche to the market, is that your particular style just sort of marries so well, so to speak, alongside the presence that you bring personally to your day with your personality and flavor and the way you dress and everything else in between. And so what I really, really appreciate is that you see yourself as not obviously just someone providing a talented service to a wedding, but you're also recognizing the part that you play as part of the entire experience, from both the point of view of how you present yourself to your talent, and then of course also remembering the kind of feelings that people should feel like when they see your artwork. What is it truly like to have someone respond in real time to your work once you've handed it to them?
Oh my gosh, it's absolutely amazing. Yeah, I love how you describe that, because that's pretty much it in a nutshell. I really believe that live illustrations is not just sitting there making a drawing of somebody, but rather it's the whole experience. It's a live experience where I come in and I enchant your guests, basically. And they're absolutely thrilled to receive these custom keepsakes. Like, the comments I get are absolutely beautiful. Oh my gosh, that's me. I look so good. I love it. I'm gonna frame it. It's, yeah, absolutely magical.
Oh, that's fantastic. I mean, I have felt that myself, not from, obviously, unfortunately, not from your artwork yet, but I certainly look forward to the opportunity. But I certainly understand that feeling of magic that comes along with someone having taken a photo of you, and then within 10, 15, 20 minutes, depending on how much backlog they got on the night, they're
Yeah.
able to say, hey, Nathan, your artwork is ready. And, in their own unique way, have been able to portray an essence of my character and soul in the space of an A3 piece of paper, or A5.
Yeah.
And so it is absolutely incredible the kind of talent you have. I guess as two creatives, both you and I, we express ourselves in different ways. I know that ultimate feeling that you and I both get when people are responding to our talent is obviously truly incredible. It must be something that truly motivates you to do this job, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It is definitely high pressure. Um, but it's definitely like the smiles, the laughter, the fun that the guest experience is definitely such a great motivator.
So, Lissy, what I love is that you bring such a unique touch to your weddings with what you do as a live illustrator. Can you walk us through the process of live illustration and how it works during your event? And also, what can guests expect when they come over to your table?
Yeah, absolutely. So live illustrations is a unique interactive experience. So when guests come over, I'll take a reference picture of them. That way they can go and enjoy the night, enjoy the festivities, and I'll illustrate them as the celebration unfolds. And then they can come back and see as the illustrations are coming out. They have fun looking at their friends and family and recognizing it. That's such a fun part of the night. Yeah, they'll often come back and visit me several times until they get their illustration. And even after, they'll keep coming back to see how their friends are coming out.
Oh, that's great. And I mean, it obviously must be incredibly thrilling. And it really matches well with what I was going to ask you next, because this is something that is, as I mentioned before, it's relatively new, even newer than content creators at this point, which have started to now permeate the industry. Whereas like the concept of live illustrations, different necessarily to your live artists who will spend an entire day of the evening working, and people are like, what, there's a difference? Yes, there is, because
Oh, yeah.
everyone's getting an individual artwork versus the one of the couple of the day.
Yeah.
And so because of this, I really must ask the question of like, how did you specifically transform your own passion of art into what you do? And then what made you want to pursue this wedding service in a way, given that it's so niche and so unique?
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually was inspired by my own wedding. So when I married my husband, I was like deeply, madly in love. Not was, still am. And I just wanted our guests to feel the magic in the air. I wanted them to feel loved and special because they were loved and special to us. So I wanted to create something really, really unique. And as an artist, I realized, wait, I can bring this to guests for people's weddings. And the difference between having that portrait of the bride and groom versus having these live illustrations for the guests is that precisely the point of it is a gift for the guest. So it's your way of telling the guest, I love you. Thank you so much for celebrating with us. You are so special to us, because the experience that they get from the live illustrations is just so unique and unforgettable. And yeah, it really says something from the bride and groom when they decide to give this as a gift to their guests.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, look, I think I'm not against any form of gift or whatever in terms of like, I think whatever's special to a couple they would like to do, ranging from the traditional bomboneri, such as the Italian, Maltese, Greek weddings, they give the almonds to, which are beginning to wane, but certainly they're still around, to obviously extraordinarily unique things like candles or monogrammed honey pots and different things like that. But I think where yours really stands out, obviously, is that it's a snapshot in time, that it's something that you can crystallize in on the paper form for every single person, uniquely to them, in a way that obviously is reflected through your own artistic ability and flair. But you're right, it is a beautiful love letter back from the couples to their guests, in a way that is extraordinarily timeless. Even more so than than the honey pots that I really do enjoy eating afterwards. But once they're done, they're done.
I did
Look,
honey pot at my wedding. I love them.
oh, they're great. Don't get me wrong. I absolutely love them too, and I've still got one that I'm saving. I'm so very precious when I open them too. So I've definitely I appreciate all of that stuff. But I think what you do is just that extra level, exciting for guests to really see, and I've seen it firsthand. So, but I must ask though, because obviously people are probably thinking, okay, that's beautiful. It's a unique talent. That's fantastic. But Lissy, come on, like, how much does this cost? So I mean, let's really get down to it here, because it's still the flavor of the month or the year in terms of asking what things cost. But also, more importantly, why should people invest in live illustration? Is it really worth it?
Yeah, so well, the investment starts at 1,600, and the value of it though is a memory. It's again, it's it's an experience that they will always talk about. It's an experience where they don't just get a wedding favor, and I mean, oftentimes, let's face it, they throw it away. This is something
True.
that
That's true.
they're not going to throw away this one. They always say, I will be framing this one. So it's something memorable, and it's something that they talk about as well for years to come. So it's beyond a favor. It's live entertainment and
Mm.
memories. It's a story that they tell and a keepsake.
Absolutely. I mean, look, I can attest if anyone's really paying attention to my video right now. I one of your dear colleagues in the industry, Grace Choi. Let me just get this right because I always get it wrong. Yep, there we go. These two here, one is of myself, and then another is of myself and my partner at two separate occasions. And like you're right, 100%. Like I can attest exactly on screen. It's the most evidence I've been able to give on this show of the fact that you're 100% correct. People do frame it. It was the thing that I promised her. I said I would go and frame it. And I can assure the audience that when I get one from you, I absolutely will be framing it too. I've already got a frame ready to go. But like it is 100% something that, you know, vendor or guest aside, we all do really appreciate it. I think I must ask, you know, you've chosen the watercolor style. I know there's a couple of other people who choose pens and different things like that. More specifically to your style, what inspired you to pick the kind of type of artwork that the flair that you bring to it? Describe your style and sort of why have you chosen that?
So I like to describe my style as a combination of elegance and whimsy. So to me, it's very much very like a fairy tale, like a storybook, like something enchanting where you um, step into a story of yourself when you see your illustration. The watercolor that I use is very soft, and which gives it that kind of enchanting look. And
Mm.
also the I actually do use a combination of the watercolor and the Copic markers. So
Mm.
yeah.
No, that's
It's
great. I mean, I'm just in awe. Like, I mean, I guess in some way, you know, people have said that to me, like I couldn't do what you do, and I certainly am saying this now to you. I couldn't do what you do, but I love that you seem so not only passionate, but you know your craft too. It's not just something that you are bringing to the table just to quote unquote make money. You are reflecting an opportunity for a couple, to, as you said, to give a gift back in a way that really has a lot of heart and soul and thought into each of those. What is the average amount of time that it takes you to make one particular image for a guest that comes up to you?
Yeah, so it really depends on what their outfit looks like. So it could take anywhere from 4 to 8 minutes. So, for example, a black suit is going to take a lot less time than an elaborate floral pattern with lots of accessories. That one's going to take a lot more time. So it averages out to approximately, let's say, for example, 45 guests in 4 hours.
Oh, wow. That is fascinating. And so does this play into, in terms of when you're having these conversations with couples or when they're looking to hire you, does this come a little bit into that process for you about how, like, in terms of how many people you've got and whether or not it's going to be a feasible, like, are there any sides of a wedding where you kind of have to say, kindly, sorry, I'm actually unable to take that just because it's too much for one person?
Yeah, no, actually. So live, yes, there's obviously a limit. I am human and my little hand can only move so fast. But no, absolutely not. There is never a wedding that's too big because the illustrations can be completed after the wedding. So live at the event, there's several packages that you could choose from, and the amount of hours that I'll stay there is obviously determining the amount of guests that I can do live.
Yeah.
But if you have more guests than that, they don't have to miss out. I'll continue taking the reference pictures, take it home, finish it up, and then send it to you after the wedding. So every guest can have one, and you can do 300, 400 guests if you really want.
Oh, fantastic. I mean, that already has dispelled a massive myth in my sense. Like I would have thought that, it's because it's quote unquote live illustrations that I
Yeah.
even having worked with some of them, I say, guys, make sure you go over and, get her to take a photo of you and get yourself in the line because after a certain point in time they're leaving, etc. But that is
Yeah.
fantastic that couples can obviously be assured that if their guests aren't able to receive it immediately, that they're still able to get it after the fact from you. So obviously depending on how
Absolutely.
much they pay for it,
Yeah.
but that's a whole other story. I want to revert back just a little bit before we get into the more businessy side of things in terms of I would love to hear some memorable stories you might have in terms of how your illustrations have impacted someone because I've seen your videos and I know that you're not hamming it up. It's definitely, it's as real as it possibly gets. But
Yeah.
from your perspective, what are some memorable stories that really stuck with you when you presented one of your illustrations to a guest?
You know what? I actually feel so lucky that I got that on video. It's actually on my Instagram.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right.
It was actually a little girl. She came up to me and she wanted an illustration and I'm like, "Okay, give me a cute pose." And the mom's like, "Oh shoot, you won't have a problem with that." And she gave me the cutest, sassiest pose. And the little girl just kept coming back to see if it was done and it wasn't done and it wasn't done. And to be honest, I felt a little pressure because kids are honest. They're brutally honest.
Mm, mm, it's true.
And finally, I got it done, and I was really excited and nervous to give it to her. And then finally, I see her. I call her over. She comes over, and I give her the illustration, and just her reaction was just so beautiful. I mean, she just lit up and gave me a hug, and that
Wow.
hug was it was so meaningful. It's like wow, like actually, honestly, though, the amount of hugs that I get at these weddings.
You must get sore by the end of it, like, I'm sorry, I can't lift my arms up anymore. Oh, well, that's so beautiful. And I mean, it's such a testament to the power of something that, I mean, when you really break it down, like, it's not simple in like, in the rawest definition of it. Obviously, what you do is an incredibly complex and talented skill that takes time in order to be able to develop and so forth. But I think the simplicity within the sense that there's a beautiful image handed to a child and that child's then seen something within that. I think there is incredible beauty in that. And obviously, as you said, even incredible amounts of adults obviously feel the same way as well. I think is just such an incredible, powerful way to obviously validate yourself and to know that you're on the right track and things, but then more importantly for a couple that they've really brought something different to the table that really can solidify their special day as a memory for their guests and for themselves.
And
Do
I
you
think too, the really special thing about these
mm.
illustrations too is that I can combine whoever you want. So I've also had really special
Oh.
requests, like for example, late fathers and mothers that can't
Mm.
make it to the wedding. And I'm able to illustrate the bride and the groom with their late mother and father,
Oh,
which
wow.
is absolutely beautiful. I've had several requests like that as well. So reactions to that as well. It's the emotions that are able to be created through these illustrations that I am so passionate about. Yeah.
Mm. No, I mean, wow, I can totally imagine what that moment would be like, and there was that level of gravity that is relatively indescribable. When I'm sure you've had that moment where you're like, it's done, and they're seeing it for the first time. So, I mean, that's just to be a part of that is obviously incredible. I must say though, obviously there is going to be the consideration, just like any vendor. Couples are going to factor in costs, and if they can understand that the cost that you're providing is obviously for materials and for your travel and your time and everything else like that, but then also inherent within that is a talent tax, which is okay. Find someone else who'll do that because I could offer it, but yeah, it'd be like stick figures at best. I'll undercut you massively, Lissy, but it just will be terrible. So obviously, there's a degree that that you've incorporated into that, which I personally think is extraordinarily reasonable for the gravity of everything you're providing. But even if people were comfortable with the price, this obviously, just like any other vendor, they're still considering style, your overall skill, your personality, how they vibe with you as a business and
Mhm.
everything else in between. So just generally speaking, if couples are out there are listening to this thinking, okay, I'm convinced a live illustration is is probably something that would be different, and we have the budget to do so if it sits around that. How do they ensure they're choosing the right one though for their wedding?
Yeah, so that's so important because when you're thinking about your wedding and what you want to create for your wedding and the vibe that you want to create for your wedding, you want to consider not just the actual art, you also want to consider the illustrator. Does the illustrator give your wedding the ambience that you want? Because it is live and we're not just sitting there, doing drawings, or I mean, maybe some art, and that's something that you want to consider. Or do you want your guests, your illustrator, to interact with your guests and create an experience for your guest, make your guests feel warm and seen and appreciated and special, and but that's is that what you want? And that's the kind of thing that you want to look for in the illustrator that you choose. And of course, there's the art style. Art can evoke a lot of feelings, as we know. So even the art style, like my style is very much, I want to create feeling. That's why I put my little smiley faces. But what feeling does their art portray? And also, what experience do they have? Do they have the experience to work under pressure? Because it is high pressure. It is so fun and so rewarding, but it is very, very high pressure. Speed, do they have the speed? Do they have the professionalism to interact with your guests? So there's a lot of things to, think about. And it really comes down to what vibe do you want to create at your wedding and what do you want your guests to experience?
Yeah, no, I would even add to that. And this is, I would say, it's a consideration that couples should be having for pretty much virtually all their vendors that are front facing, so to speak, like myself, photographers, DJs, etc. There should also be a consideration for the kind of person they are, how they present themselves on the day. Because, for instance, like you and I, obviously extraordinarily, I would say I'm more front and center, but you are part of the experience. People see you. You're not put in a closet and hidden behind like the kitchen or something. Yeah, no, oh goodness, I would insist that wouldn't be the case if I was working with you, but you're there in front of you, of everybody in full view, and they're interacting with you. And I think there is nothing worse in my mind of someone in your position who is obviously got incredible talent and can provide the services promised, but yet unfortunately is, hardly well dressed or hasn't done their, hasn't groomed themselves appropriately to fit within the appropriate setting of the wedding itself. And I think there is, and also if they're just gruff, that you go up to them yourself or, and you're like, oh, okay, fine, take a photo, I'd see you later. If there's no sort of like positive interaction between you, then I think that is just as much as important for any other front-facing vendor. It should be for someone like yourself as well. And I mean, I know you to be an incredibly bubbly person, so I think you're definitely ticking. And you also got some of the best gowns I've ever seen of any vendor wear. So I think you're definitely ticking a lot of boxes in what I would consider to be top-tier quality. So couples out there can be assured on that.
It's actually quite interesting, that you say that. When I go back and edit my videos, I love watching their interactions, not just the reactions of the illustrations, but I love watching their interactions with me. Because, a lot of the smiles that you see on my videos is actually just talking to me, a lot of times I'll notice when somebody comes and grabs their illustration, and if I'm very focused, like they'll pick it up and they'll walk away. And then when I look at the video, I'm always heartbroken because I'm like, oh no, I didn't see it. Look up with them. I didn't,
I don't blame you for that though, because I feel bad even when I'm obviously having to interact with you as a vendor as well. But I would consider myself to be someone who likes to be friends with everybody and in a genuine sense. And so, but the one thing I recognize is when people have a job to do, I will respect the boundaries of what that represents. I won't sit there and try to have long-winded conversation with you or something. But I know that because you're in such a crunch, as you mentioned, that often when I'm working with live illustrationists or caricaturists in particular, I'm desperate to, because I'm so fascinated with your work. I want to be able to have those conversations and say, hey, how's it going? And interact longer. But at the same time, I'm like, oh, all right, I'm just gonna pick it up and say thank you, and off I go.
Correct. You can definitely stay. Actually, the last wedding I did, literally like 2 days ago, I had a beautiful guest who's also an artist. She just
Mm.
sat there behind me, chit-chatted, and watched me draw for, I would say, over an hour.
Oh wow! Well, I would love to stay for an hour, but as you know, I'm a bit busy. But I certainly will remember this conversation and enjoy your artwork even more than I would normally anticipate. So
Absolutely.
I appreciate that a lot, and I think what as a fellow artist, just in a different sense, I can I get it's just fantastic that people like there like you exist in this industry who provide couples such differing opportunities to broaden the scope as I try to do in my MC work. What I love is when other vendors go, you know what, I bring something to the table. There's obviously worth money. I can make a living out of it, but more importantly, it does provide a depth and breadth of how a wedding really should be, which is just a celebration. And under celebration, you can that's such a big umbrella. And I love that what you do fits extraordinarily well into the puzzle. Lissy, I could talk with you forever, and I really appreciate your exuberance and your bubbliness, and everything really comes through. And honestly infectious, and I look forward to us working together. I must wrap up the show shortly, so I do have a couple of rapid fires for you. They're nothing scare or anything, just getting you a bit of a hot takes on the industry and different things like that. I want to ask you first. What is one very specific question that couples should ask you when they want to work with you?
Oh, that's a good one. A very specific question.
What do you want them to know about you? Like, what are you dying to get across the table, but you really want them to ask you for it first?
Oh, that's a great question. What should they ask me?
I'll leave you sitting with that one while I ask you an easier one.
Yeah.
How many gowns do you have?
So my gowns, the really fancy ones that you see, are actually my beautiful friend from Ennis Dress Hire. So she collaborates with me with those gowns. Yeah. But thank you for asking me. I pay a lot of attention to how I present myself, because I think that it is part of the story that your wedding will tell is,
Agreed.
do you have an enchanting fairy tale vibe when you experience your live illustration?
Nope. Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. How about I rephrase the other one? When you're chatting with couples and you're getting to know them, how about I flip the equation? What's one thing what you want to know about couples before you think you're going to be a good fit for them?
Oh, good question. What do I want to know about couples?
Who would be the perfect couple for you?
I often ask couples why they would like live illustrations at their wedding. And really, the perfect couple for me would be the couple that is very heartfelt, very involved in creating something that the guest will just love. Something that's really, truly unique. Something like the couples that just want to tell their guests, I love you. Something that's deeply emotional and sentimental. Yeah.
No, I love that. No, it's perfect. And I think we all should, as vendors, have people that we prefer to work with, in the sense that they vibe with us. We know that we have these perfect magical experiences when we show up, and there's a wedding for everybody. So it's fine. Like, you and I don't have to do every single one. And certainly there are different vibes out there. So I think it's great that you have a real understanding, because it does translate in the way that we respond and act, and the kind of work that we do out there. But look, Lissy, thank you so much for sharing your insights and sharing your personality and your talent with the world. How can people get their very own Lissy Hernandez signed illustrations at their weddings?
Yeah, so just contact me. You could either DM me on Instagram or send an inquiry through my website, adorebylissy.com.
Excellent, perfect. Well, I hope that people batten down the doors to have you at their wedding, because your talent is such a delight, and your personality is equally so. So, thank you so much for being a bright beacon in this industry and giving people the kind of memories they couldn't imagine for, and for sharing your insights. And I truly hope we get to work together soon.
Oh, thank you so much, Nathan. It's been such a pleasure. I really appreciate you having me here.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Just As Planned Wedding Podcast. Please like and subscribe to let me know that you want more videos just like this one. And of course, please follow us on our socials at Just As Planned Wedding on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube for more expert insights to help your wedding go just as planned.